struggle is real. It's me versus me, the struggle is real. Why don't you choose yourself? Choose yourself right now. It's me versus me, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. Happy New Year's, everyone. Welcome to Series 1, Episode 12. We've been learning so much and loving every minute of it. We've learned about different types of diets and the different things that affect the ability to lose weight and maintain a healthy weight. We have had amazing guests, chock full of so much information that it has turned into such an inspiring journey together. If you have not had a chance to watch the previous episodes, or if you want to rewatch them, you can go to our YouTube page anytime. Tonight, let's dive into learning how to read that crazy, confusing lab report that has all the cholesterol, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, and total cholesterols, and blah, blah, blah. We also are going to learn how to read those crazy, confusing nutrition facts on the back of most everything we eat concerning the fats labeled saturated, unsaturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated, confusing blah, blah, blah food facts. We're going to learn more how to pick out the right foods to help control our cholesterol, triglycerides, weight, and overall health. We're going to talk about getting through the holidays and getting back on track with the new year. We also have a special guest tonight, Emily Grooms Eldridge, my very own niece, which would be my brother Scott Grooms' daughter, is going to join us tonight to talk about her journey with childhood arthritis and how food choices affect her arthritis. Now, what about that New Year's resolution? Did you promise to get back on track or start working toward losing weight and getting healthier? Maybe even exercising more or just being more active. Let us help you with that journey. The struggle is real, but together we can get through it. So let's get started on our great program for tonight and our talk with Emily. Have a look. Tonight, we'd like to welcome Emily Grooms Eldridge. Now, she is my niece, my older brother's daughter, and we're going to continue our study on our autoimmune disease protocol diet. Now, she's not so much on the autoimmune protocol diet, but she eats very healthy, and I would like for her just to tell her story. She's been diagnosed with arthritis a lot of years, and I'll let her share with you what she has to say. Hi, Emily. Good to have you.
Hi, Gary. How you doing?
Good. Now, Emily's in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm in Paris, Tennessee. I love Zoom, by the way. This is really great to have you. So welcome. And can you just tell us a little bit about your story, when you were diagnosed and why, what happened whenever you got your diagnosis? Why did your parents take you to the doctor and things like that? So how did that work for you?
Well, happened when I was about 6 years old. Oops, sorry, my phone went off. Let me mute that. Sorry, bad timing. All right. So when I was 6 years old, I was, a kid interested in gymnastics, and I wanted to do cartwheels and stuff like that. And then I think my granny, your mom, noticed that my thumb was really swollen when I was doing a cartwheel one day, and she said, "That's not normal. Something's wrong with that." So I went to the doctor. They did X-rays and looked at it, and they said nothing looked wrong. And then eventually went to a rheumatologist, and they thought I had psoriatic arthritis because there's a lot of psoriasis in my family. And I was treated for psoriatic arthritis up until I was 20 years old, and I kind of hit a remission. But I was heavily medicated, took tons of pain medication growing up, and methotrexate to dampen the immune system, and had to get my blood drawn every month to make sure that medicine wasn't hurting me. But eventually I did hit a remission after a while, and I've kind of been in a remission since, but I still have some lingering inflammatory issues. And if I don't take care of myself really well, a lot more than most normal people have to, I definitely feel some symptoms. So, but through my adult life, it's been a journey of trying to figure out what works best for my body, because I definitely can't do things always normally. I have to rest a lot more, have to take a lot more breaks. I started developing allergies as well. So I started getting hives all the time. So one thing after another. So my journey, especially as my adult life, figuring out how to be, um, an adult, is just, what do I need to do for myself now that my parents aren't taking care of me anymore? And now that I'm in my 30s, I think I've gotten a handle on it now. But yeah.
Now, what was the diagnosis? Was it psoriatic arthritis? You said they tested you for that. Was that what the kind it was?
Well, they actually don't really have a test for psoriatic. They just said, based on the way the arthritis was presenting, because it was asymmetrical or on one side, and that I had a family history of psoriasis, they thought it was likely that would be it. But it turns out that even now I've never had any symptoms of psoriasis, so they don't think it's psoriatic. But I went to ask, well, is it rheumatoid? And they tested me for that, and they said, well, you don't have rheumatoid factor, which doesn't mean it's not rheumatoid. It's just, and then I got tested for lupus, and they said, well, it's not that either. I really honestly, no one knows what's wrong with me. But every time I get a blood test for, it's like called a positive ANA test, it says that I always have high inflammatory markers all the time. It always comes back very elevated. So I definitely have some kind of autoimmune thing going on, and I do get sick really easily. So not sure what it is, which makes it harder to treat, but that's yeah, that's how I am right now.
Well, I remember when my mother, our mama's touch mama, Peggy Grooms, Kimball Grooms, I remember when she saw that on your thumb. I was there when that happened, and my mom is a stickler for digging in there and getting something done, and that's not right. And she's always noticing kids when they don't walk straight or something like that. And I'm so glad that she figured out that something was going on with that. I do remember that. I had forgotten about that till you just said that, and that's really good. Now, did any of your other knuckles or anything ever swell up, or how did that work?
Well, it started with the thumb, and it progressed to different joints. So mostly in the hands, definitely the feet. My feet
Hmm.
still have issues, like a couple of different toes. They get really swollen and they curl up a little bit more. And then my knee was really bad when I got to high school. I actually went on a trip to Europe, and we were walking all around. And by the time we got to the Louvre in France, I couldn't go up the stairs. I'd walked so much, my knee is so swollen. I had my friends were holding me while I was going up the stairs. And actually, I had to take prednisone, a steroid, every day for about a year and a half, because
Wow.
my swelling in my knee was so bad. And I had gained a ton of weight when I was taking that, and then when I got off. But yeah, so that's when it was kind of the worst, was when I was in high school, and my knee would swell up really quickly all the time. I've since found out that if I do a lot of massage therapy and stretching, that's helped a lot with my inflammation. I have a neuromuscular massage therapist that I used
Wow.
to see pretty regularly, and I don't have any more problems with my knee. My toes, the swelling has gone down a lot, but diet helps as well. But stretching helps as well for me, at least.
Now, do you do any kind of yoga or anything like that?
Yeah, I've done it before, and yoga's good. It builds a lot of stabilization muscles, and for me, I think I should be doing more of that. Since COVID, I've gotten kind of weak, honestly. Couch potato over here, but um, yeah. But what I found is targeted stretches. So one of the other muscles I have a lot of problems with, my wrist. You can actually see this wrist can go pretty straight, but this one can only go that far because I've got, and my wrist swells up really quickly and easily when I do repetitive motions, like I'm a pianist or using the mouse and keyboard. So that's something that afflicts me, that other people don't get. That even these small repetitive motions, they cause swelling really quickly for me. Um,
Now,
Go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead. No, sorry.
No, and I found that, working these muscles around here and working on my bicep and my chest, it really helps pull some of that inflammation. It goes away
Wow.
when I'm working my muscles.
Do you like use weights, or what do you do for that?
Yeah, I mean, I mostly do massage, but I really need to build up the muscles around here.
Oh,
If
I
I'm
see.
thinking about, if my muscles are weak, then that's causing me to overwork muscles. So if I build up the muscles around those areas, if this muscle is getting inflamed, then I might need more muscle in my biceps so that I'm not straining these muscles down here. So that's the phase I'm working on right now. I'm not there yet, but that's my next improvement. I've got the diet under control, but the next improvement is build some muscle so that my muscles aren't so strained, my little muscles.
So when now mom had talked about they thought that you might be somewhat crippled, but tell people what you do for a living, which is miraculous and awesome, by the way. Since I'm a musician, what you do to me is incredible.
Well, I am a private piano teacher. I am currently getting my PhD right now in teaching and learning with an emphasis in music. So I have my own piano studio at my home, and I teach people piano all day long, but I also teach some singing as well. But yeah, it's a really good time, and yeah, I have a good time.
Well, so you're married and you and your husband have got this diet thing dialed in. Very good. I ate at your house when last time I was there. It's the first time. Your food was terrific. But I know that Scott always talks about how healthy you guys eat and that you eat whole and organic and things like that. But now, do you do that because that's what you choose to do, or do you do that because it makes your arthritis better or your condition better, or how come you do that?
Well, I'll tell you a story first. So my husband's he's been a really good catalyst for change for me. He's a very disciplined person, and I am not very disciplined. And so before him and I got together, I was a person who was a frozen pizza gal. Like, oh, I'm 20 minutes away from having a frozen pizza for dinner. Just pop it out, put it, and I did not have good dietary habits. I was a cereal junkie too, just midnight snack, but he's very disciplined, and actually he used to be over 200. He used to be almost 300 pounds when I first
Wow.
met him, and he's now 175
He
pounds.
is perfect.
Yeah, he's kept it. He's very muscular too, but he's kept that
Wow.
off for a long time. But so anyway, the point is, so he's got some health issues as well. He doesn't have autoimmune, but he's got irritable bowel syndrome. So
Hmm.
he gets really upset stomach with a lot of normal foods. So we had to change our diet a lot just to help with that. But he also has some high cholesterol, even though he eats really healthy. It's just a genetic thing. So
Hmm.
we had to adjust the diet a lot just for even for him, but for me, it's helped me tremendously as well. So it's a choice now. Like when COVID hit, we stopped eating out. We stopped, because I stayed in my house for 2 years because of my autoimmune. So we cooked a lot, and now we've got it totally under control. Like we've got tons of food prepped at any time, and so I'm still only 20 minutes away from eating a meal. It's just not a frozen pizza anymore. I have a bunch of
Wow.
stuff in the freezer and just pop it out, put it in a dish, put it in the oven, and I've got awesome food just any night of the day or any night of the week. So,
Now, you said you eat a lot of ginger. You have ginger in your tea and things. You do organic teas or green teas and things like that. Is that for your condition as well, or you just like them? And why did you stop the caffeine?
I stopped caffeine. My brother wanted to stop drinking caffeine, and I said, I'm living for one cup of coffee to the next. I mean, it's the musician trope of always drinking coffee. And I just decided I wanted to, just stop too, because I felt like I was always exhausted. And when I stopped drinking coffee, I definitely had headaches for a couple weeks, but it went away. And I actually find that I have a lot more energy now that I'm not drinking coffee or drinking caffeine. I still have a little bit here and there, but that little bit really does a lot. I can drink a quarter of a cup of green tea and be great. Whereas before I'd drink, several cups of coffee and I'm just always exhausted. So now I just drink herbal tea because I think kind of drinking something hot makes you feel good inside, and it makes you pretend, it makes you feel like you're more energetic even though you're not. So so I like drinking herbal tea. It tastes good. I drink a lot of stuff with ginger because I like it, but I have read that ginger does have some good benefits. Also, turmeric is
Yep.
supposedly anti-inflammatory, but I haven't, I don't know if that's true in my case or not, but those are some good teas to drink as from what they say.
Yeah. So, in a normal day, what would be your diet that you use?
So eat mostly whole grain stuff. So I started making sourdough bread with whole wheat. I also buy some Kroger Carb Master bread, and it has a ton of fiber. So I think each piece of bread, one slice has like 5 grams of fiber or something. So I usually have like one piece of bread and I'll cook one egg. I like fried eggs, but you can also eat scrambled. And I'll just have an egg and a piece of, whole grain bread because it's not refined sugar. That's what I found, that inflammatory is really bad when you eat lots of processed foods and refined sugars. So that would be like my breakfast. I'll eat some yogurt sometimes to get some of that dairy calcium. Um, I have mixed nuts. I usually just go to a big store like Costco or Sam's, and I'll buy a whole bunch of nuts and like put them all together. It's a lot cheaper. So I'll have a handful of nuts because they have lots of omega-3s, which is really good for inflammation as well. So that's like breakfast slash a snack. Then for dinner, I kind of eat late. I wake up late and eat late, so I don't have like a big lunch. I just kind of snack throughout the day. I snack on fruit. I love strawberries, apples. We have mangoes at the house all the time, so we cut those a bunch. Grapes, all kinds of good fruits. For dinner, I just pick something out of the freezer we've already made. We make things in large quantities, so I have this red pepper pasta that I make when red peppers are in season. That's really good. Let's see what else. My husband loves making soups and stews. Trying to think. Oh, we make chicken all the time. We have fish a lot as well. So he can't eat any beef or pork because of his stomach issues, but we eat tons of fish and chicken around here. And fish is really high in omega-3s, so really good for you as well. So, and then for dinner or for dessert, we usually just have some fruit. So that's pretty much a typical day.
So, is there a fish that you have found that is best, that has the highest omega-3s? I'm sure you probably know that.
Yeah, so the one I really like, both in flavor and because it has a ton of omega-3s, is steelhead trout. It's not always easy. Like, I find it at Kroger, but they don't have it all the time. And it's a lot like salmon. It tastes a lot like salmon. So if you like salmon, it's really good, but it's way better. It's fattier and it has a really good flavor. So steelhead trout's my go-to. My second is to get salmon. And my husband loves to make it in the cast iron. He just puts a little bit of peanut oil. You can do any oil as long as it has a high smoke point, because you don't want it. If you do olive oil, it'll catch fire if you go too hot. So
Now,
be careful.
what is that high smoke point? That's the first time I've ever heard that before.
So different oils, when they get heated to a certain point, actually think about this. When you cook bacon in the oven, if you cook it at a really high temperature, you know how the oven will get really smoky.
I
So
do.
fats have different smoke points. So I cook a lot of stuff with olive oil, and that's fine. But I believe olive oil has a smoke point of something like 400 degrees. Don't quote me on that. You got to look it up. But at a certain point, when you're cooking at a very high temperature, if the temperature gets above that smoke point, then your oil starts smoking. And that's so if you cook something really hot, you're going to want to get an oil with a high smoke point. So a really healthy one with a high smoke point, I believe, is avocado oil, but that's pretty
Wow.
expensive, so we don't buy it. We just do a little bit of peanut oil, like a little bit, just to coat the cast iron, not a ton. But
Wow.
you can use olive oil. You just have to cook it at a lower temperature. It's not going to get that same sear, but that's, if you like it that way, it's cool too. So.
Wow. So, and you said yogurt. I have no idea about the smoke point on oils at all, but that's really good to know. Now, the yogurt, do you have a particular kind that you eat, or does it matter which brand?
Well, so what I'm trying to do, I try to steer away from artificial sweeteners. And so I'm not the best person to ask on yogurt because honestly, I kind of hate yogurt unless it's like artificially flavored. So it's like the one thing that I eat. So there's a Carb Master yogurt that I eat from Kroger that tastes great, but I found out it has stevia in it. And I don't really want to be eating that kind of stuff. But like I said, I eat it because I want the dairy. And if you get the lower fat ones, it's not, my husband loves the Greek yogurt. If you like Greek yogurt, get the kind that doesn't have a high bunch of sugar. Get the kinds that taste, full fat's fine as long as, it just doesn't have a ton of sugar. But I actually started trying to make my own yogurt. So I'm kind of working on that right now. So, and you can, I found a thing online. You just get milk and like boil it a little bit, and then put in some yogurt enzymes, and then I crushed up some fruit like strawberries and bananas and add that to it. It's pretty good actually.
So
So,
last week we learned about coconut, making coconut yogurt. I think that's
oh,
what we
interesting.
talked about. And you get the cans of, I think it was coconut. I have to review
I
on that
use
one.
coconut in a ton of stuff because my husband can't really eat dairy because of his IBS. So coconut oil is awesome. It tastes great. The only thing you got to look out for with coconut oil is pretty high in cholesterol. So if
Hmm.
you have cholesterol issues, you might want to be careful with how much coconut you put. But I use it in all my desserts because it makes everything taste amazing.
Well, what you do, you take that canned coconut, you put it in the refrigerator, and then you let it separate overnight, and
Hmm.
then you take the fat off. And then you use, and we have last week's show, we have the whole gamut of the ingredients and how to do it. And so that's going to be something that we're going to do at home just because we think it's going to be fun.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I made almond milk yogurt for my husband just because, but something else that's great. So omega-3s are really good for anti-inflammatory. So, eating fish is really good. Having fish oil. I take a fish oil supplement every day. But the other thing is flaxseed and chia seeds are
Hmm.
extremely high in omega-3s, and those are great add-ins for yogurt. Um,
Wow.
yeah, so it's really high in omega-3s, just really, oh, did I say, yeah, chia seeds and flax seeds.
I've heard
So
that
walnuts
before.
also.
I had forgotten about that. This particular yogurt, when you make it, now do you do honey at all?
Yeah, so you can add honey for sweetness. So, like I said, avoiding refined sugars is really important for anti-inflammatory. So, honey still, is sugar. So you want to limit your sugar. But for me, I haven't noticed a lot of issues when I eat lots of fruits. So I like to mix fruits in with things to add some sweetness and a little bit of honey. But try not to add any white sugar or brown sugar or that stuff just makes my joints just swell up like crazy. I totally notice it around the holidays and I eat too much pumpkin pie and I'm like, ooh.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Kevin, our producer of the show, the one that you've been talking to, he was on our show a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about when he ever eats a Rice Krispie treat, his knees are just killing him, and he said it's just instantaneous.
Sugar's a killer.
Yeah, so you
It really
actually
is.
feel that too. You feel that instant issue
Hmm.
right there. Wow, that's
Yeah, and it,
interesting.
it persists for a few days. So if I eat a lot, and it's not just sugar, but you have to think about all the processed foods you eat. Because even like a lot of things that come in packages are already sweetened because that's what the American diet loves, sugar. So that's why I think my husband and I, we don't have a ton of health problems anymore because we basically don't eat out and we basically don't we buy a lot of produce and we do a lot of cooking. And if you get in the habit of doing a little bit of cooking each week and filling up a freezer, like we rotate out, like every weekend we might cook another big batch of something. And then after a few weekends, you've got a bunch of different meals already ready to go. And I think now that we've got kind of a base, we really only do about 2 hours of cooking a week. And that's
Wow.
about it. But it takes a while to get set up. But once you do, we don't really spend as much time as you would think, considering we eat solely at home every day.
And y'all eat well.
Yeah, well, I mean, our grocery bill's pretty big, but we're buying salmon every week. Like I buy a whole side of a salmon every week. We buy a ton of avocados. I buy goat cheese. Like we're buying expensive, fancy ingredients, and it's really good. But if I feel like if I'm going to spend money on anything, it's going to be the things that are going to make me feel good and I'm going to enjoy them. But we don't spend a lot of money on a lot of other stuff. But
Well, that's what one of our mottos of the show is: you either pay now or later. And
yep.
yep, and a lot of people they think, oh, that's going to cost me too much money, but in the end, you're going to pay for your health either now while it's healthy, or you're going to pay for it later when it's sick.
Well, here's the thing too, like my husband takes no medication for anything and his cholesterol he's almost right in that really good range. And like I said, he's got some genetic stuff which is so he might be taking something in the future, we'll see, but he's still working on it. But for me, I don't take medicine anymore either. I
Wow.
do yeah, I when I do have if I have swelling for more than 3 days, I'll take, an Advil or an ibuprofen, but at this point, I don't have to take medication for my arthritis. And when you pay on the front end, you eat well, you take care of yourself, you don't have to pay all that money in prescriptions or going to the doctor. I mean, still go to the doctor, but you're like you said, you pay for it later when you don't take care of your body, and all of a sudden you hit a point and everything starts going wrong.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Wow, I love that. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with people so that you could help them maybe get a different mindset or anything that you would like to share with anybody?
I guess I would just get into well, we've been trying to help some of our friends who've been trying to transition. It's tricky at first to get into cooking, but if you're not well versed in cooking and you're worried about it, there's a lot of websites online. The one I like to use, I think, is called recipes.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd suggest if you want to start getting cooking, go to a website and look up a recipe of something you like. Don't expect the first time you cook something for it to be perfect. And Gary came over and had our food. A lot of the food that we were provided there, we've cooked a bunch of times. And every time people have our food, we say, "What do you like? What do you not like? What do you know?" And we're always looking to make it better. And the more times you practice it, the better you're going to get. So if you download a recipe and you try something and it doesn't turn out perfect and you think, well, was it too sweet? Was it too salty? Did I burn it? Did I undercook it? And try it again next week. And so what I'd suggest is pick out one recipe a week to try to work on. And as you get better, start adding more recipes. And then when you start getting comfortable, then you can start freezing it for later and building up a stock. But cooking is a skill that anybody can learn, but it takes some time, and have fun with it.
Now, do you freeze your fish? Does it freeze okay once you cook it? Is it okay to freeze, or you go ahead and eat that part?
That's a good question. We typically don't freeze our fish, but because what we'll do is we'll get doesn't mean you can't, but we get a whole side, and what we do is my husband cuts them into pieces like this big, and we'll just both eat like two pieces a day or a piece a day, and just make it last throughout the whole week. We just kind of keep reheating it lightly. But we also buy some pre-frozen sides so that when we don't have a chance to go to the store that week, or maybe we just don't need to, we'll pull one of the frozen ones out. So I imagine that you could probably freeze it just like anything else. There's very few things that I've frozen that doesn't come out pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, but yeah, I imagine you could. You would just probably cook, if you're planning on freezing it, cook it a little bit less than you think it needs to be. So that way when you thaw it out, it doesn't get super overcooked.
That's actually great advice. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on our Zoom call today. Uh, you're an inspiration. You're an inspiration with your music, with your playing, with everything that you do in your life, with helping other people become as I love music. I'm thankful that there are people out there that help other people love music, because I think music makes the world go around, and I'm sure you do too. And this right here is really fantastic to share with people. We've just so much been researching all of this and talking to people, and everything that you said has been, you're just reiterating everything that we've learned. And I want to thank you so much for being with us today. And good, God bless with all the stuff you're doing in your house and your schooling and getting all your stuff together. You're an inspiration to me and everyone else around you.
Well, thank you. Well, and you're doing the same stuff. You're helping people, and it's awesome. It feels good to be able to teach people and help them through their journeys in life. And I know you're also an inspiration to people as well.
Well, thank you. And Emily Grooms Eldridge is my niece, and the Scott Grooms, that's her, and Tamara Grooms, that's their daughter, and she lives in Atlanta. And thank you so much. You have a God bless day.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Emily shed a light on so much knowledge, and it's so much of what we have been studying. So please think of the things we have learned about autoimmune and diet. Now let's go to the meat of everything that we are made up of. Fats, cholesterol. Well, you see, I hope. Let's get started. So, first of all, we're going to go to the screen where it says a fatty acid molecule. And a fatty acid chain molecule is made up of hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. And so up here on my whiteboard, I'm going to draw some things that hopefully will help you understand fatty acid chain molecule. Sorry about the, wow. Okay, hang on. I'll fix it. Hang on. Molecule. There. Writing from the side is kind of hard to do. But anyway, I'm trying to learn how to do that. So what I want to say, when we looked at that slide before, we've got, when we look at a fatty acid chain molecule, this is so much of what we're studying about in diet. Now, on a fatty chain molecule, you have a head right here, and it's made of phosphate. Well, it's got other things in it too, but they call it a phosphate head's what they call it. Now, remember, I am no authoritarian on this. I have studied this. I am an RN. I've had to study nutrition. I'm actually studying to get my nutrition certification, but I don't have that yet. So I'm going to say, don't take everything I say to heart other than I've really done a lot of digging on it. So hopefully you'll learn something today, because I have learned so much, and it has really changed how I feel about some things that I do and eat. But we've got a phosphate. This is a chain molecule, okay? And what that is, you've got hydrogen, that is the H, and you've got hydrogen here. I'm simplifying everything. And in between the hydrogen, you've got a carbon. There's a C right here. And so for each hydrogen and carbon like this, these things attach itself. And when they have a hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen, they are what they consider to be saturated fat. So this is a saturated fat molecule. Everything is linear. It just grows straight in a line like that. And so when we go to unsaturated fats, and this is very intriguing to me. So again, we've got our hydrogen like this, and our C, and then we've got our hydrogen here, and our C, and hydrogen. Now what happens in an unsaturated, and you've heard this, is saturated fats, unsaturated fats. What makes an unsaturated fat is two of these hydrogens are missing, okay? They're gone right here. They're gone. So what happens is this carbon does like this, called a double carbon bond. And what it does is they attach together, and they make this look like squiggly, or turns a corner, or bends up or down, or however it's formed. Okay? And that's called unsaturated. Now stay with me. Fat molecule. Okay? And that's called a mono unsaturated, because there's one carbon right there that's bonded together. Now, and you'll see on some of your packages, you'll have poly unsaturated, mono unsaturated. And so we're going to draw another molecule. And so again, we've got our H's and our H's and our H's, and then we've got H, H, C, C, and then we've got an H and a H and a C, then we've got a H, 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 C, C. Now we've got two hydrogens missing here, and we've got two hydrogens missing here. So when that happens, that's called a poly unsaturated fat. Okay, so what happens with this one is it gets really all squirrely when it grows. And so the unsaturated fats, as we're going to learn, are way more better for us than the saturated fats. And so if you can keep this in your mind, saturated fats are all saturated. Everything's exactly the same. Everything's full. Nothing else can fit in it. Unsaturated fat is where a hydrogen is missing and the carbons clump together and say, hey, you ain't going to do your job, I will. And then polyunsaturated fats have two, carbon connections right there, okay? We're going to look at, so if you look at this slide right here, then you're going to see that the first one is your saturated. You've got your H's. It doesn't have H there, but that's a H where the lines are. And then on the second one, you got your mono unsaturated, fatty acid chain. And you can see where the H is gone. And then on the polyunsaturated, you've got, and these are actually textbook, and then you've got the two. And we'll go to the next slide. Okay, and again, here we go with, now what I want to share with you about the trends, and you see that in the middle. So we got the saturated on the top, and we've got the unsaturated on the bottom, okay? But what we got for a trends, and I would like to go back to my whiteboard here. Now you've heard of trans fats. So when we look at labels, we might see a trans fat. Here's our phosphate head. And then we've got our H's. And then we have an H here and an H here. And what happens with this, this is called trans fat. And what that does, which is bad, you don't want to eat trans fat. But these are dangerous for us and health-wise. But what man has done, they've got a man-made thing that they do, man-made. And what man came along and did is they added a hydrogen like that. These are man-made hydrogens right here. And they made this not an unsaturated, but they made it a saturated out of an unsaturated fat. So that could, and they actually banned the use of that like in 2018. Now they do allow things, I think, like you can only have 0.5 grams per serving. I think they have rules. I don't know how the rules actually work, but I know that in 2018, they gave until 2020 for people to really clean their acts up about this trans fat. And so, but man came along and they said, oh, we don't like the butter to be liquid, so the margarine to be liquid. So they added these hydrogens. So they called it, if you ever see this word, hydrogenated. That's it. This is terrible. Hydrogenated. Anything that's hydrogenated is dangerous. So you want to learn how to read your labels for that. Okay? And so we'll go to the next slide. There's a lot to learn tonight, and I hope that you get as much out of it as I did. Okay? So we can see right there in the middle, it says trans fat. So you can see where the hydrogens were missing, and then they got added. And then we'll go to the next screen if you don't mind. So when we say what are saturated fats? Okay, so saturated fats, they are fats that are highly packed with double bonded carbons between the fatty acids and are called saturated. There are some exceptions, but most are solid at room temperature. And sources of saturated fats include fatty pieces of meat, such as beef and lamb, some pork and chicken products, dairy products, including cream, whole milk, butter, shortening, cheese, coconut, and palm oils. Now, the debate over whether consumption of saturated fat is bad for heart health has been going for decades. Research studies offer conflicting findings regarding the impact of saturated fats on heart health, making this topic particularly confusing for consumers. While it's clear that saturated fats raise blood lipids, including LDLs, low-density lipoproteins, cholesterol levels, and certain other heart disease risk factors, such as inflammation, it's unclear whether saturated fats increase the risk of heart disease. Now, saturated fats, like the majority of fats found in whole milk, may raise your bad LDL or your low-density cholesterol levels. while unsaturated fats, like the majority of fats found in avocados, have several health benefits, including potentially helping to reduce your risk of heart disease. Dietary fat may have a bad reputation, but fat is vital for your health. The body actually needs fat for energy and for many critical processes, such as the absorption of certain vitamins and minerals. And a diet high in saturated fats may raise your LDL cholesterol levels, which will raise your risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes. And an early study shows that grass-fed beef may elevate cholesterol less than grain-fed beef. Grass-fed lean beef usually contains less fat. The typical American diet is really way too high in saturated fats. Now, unsaturated fats, and if you'll remember, it has two hydrogens missing and the carbons clumped together. They help lower a person's levels of LDL, the low density. They reduce inflammation and build stronger cell membranes. Sources of unsaturated fats consist of avocados and avocado oils, olive oil, peanut butter and peanut oil, vegetable oils such as sunflower, corn and canola oils, fatty fish such as salmon and mackerel, nuts and seeds, almonds, peanuts, cashews, and sesame seeds. Man has added a hydrogen to make, and then we're talking about the trans fat now. So the trans fat, we talked about that where man has added a hydrogen to this this unsaturated fat. And so trans fats, they are really bad, so leave the trans fats behind. So polyunsaturated fatty acids are typically oils at room temperature, but they can be converted to semi-solid spreads artificially. Adding extra hydrogen atoms converts the double bonds to single bonds, leaving these once flexible fats as twisted, rigid fats known as trans fatty acids. This hydrogenation process, again, is common in the process of many of the harmful fat items that we eat today. The trans fats are dangerous because they increase the rigidity of the cell membrane and increase the levels of bad cholesterol in your blood. They are also associated with weight gain, poor glucose control, increased risk of inflammatory related diseases. Trans fats are also known to increase your risk for specific cancers, namely breast and prostate cancers. The trans fats found in dairy products are structurally different from those that are artificially created and are not known to have the same damaging effects on your health. And many kinds of margarine and spreads have been reformulated to reduce the trans fat content in light of the health concerns, but it's still recommended to avoid them if possible. A little butter or margarine in moderation will not hurt you. Now, things that have trans fat and to be legal, like I said, it's kind of confusing, but they need to be 0.5 grams or less. And these things include commercial baked goods such as cakes, cookies and pies, shortening, microwave popcorn, frozen pizza, refrigerated dough, fried foods, non-dairy coffee creamer, and stick margarine. Now, what I would like to talk about, and look at the slides right here. You see that the first one is a saturated and it's straight up, where you've got the monounsaturated and it's got one bend, and then you've got the polyunsaturated, which has got two. And we'll go to the next. And again, we've just kind of got where, where just kind of a different way of looking at it. And we'll go to the next one. Okay. Now this right here, this is very interesting. So if we come back up to the whiteboard, and we've got our phosphate head again. We're back to our fatty acid molecule. All right. Now we've got its little tail. And we've got our H's and our H's and our C's and our C's and our C's, and our H's are gone, and an H and a H and a C and a H and a H. Okay, so where do they get the omega 3s, omega 3, omega-6s. And then they've got 7. I think they've got 9. I think they've got like a 13. They've got a lot of omegas, okay? Now, what these omegas, where they get that, you'll hear a lot about them saying you need to take omega-3. Omega-6s can be dangerous, so we'll just talk about that just a little bit. But what happens is wherever that carbon bond happens in the chain, the molecule chain, that's how they call it omega-3. So if it happens on the third area right here, that'd be omega-3. If you do the 6, let's see, act like this is number 6. If they do, if the carbon bond happens on the 9, that's omega-9. And that's how they classify what omegas are. And that's very intriguing to me because I had no idea that that's how they classify what the omegas are. And the interesting thing about omega, and we're going to show this on some slides, is you don't make omega-3 and omega-6. You have to get those in your diet. And so we'll go ahead to the next slide if you don't mind. So what are the omegas? Omega-3 and omega-6 health. Okay. Omega-3 fatty acids are polyunsaturated, and remember they have a carbon bond, so they're unsaturated, and there's more than one. So they're a polyunsaturated fat that performs important functions in your body. Your body can't produce the amount of omega-3s you need to survive. So omega-3 fatty acids are essential nutrients, meaning you need to get them from the foods that you eat. And so the trouble with omega-3 and 6 is that you've got to balance those. The 2 omega fatty acids that are considered essential are the linoleic acid, which is an omega-6 fatty acid, and the alpha-linolenic acid, which is an omega-3. These can be used as building blocks to make other omega fatty acids your body needs. So the interesting thing about omega-6 and omega-3s is that it helps your body make some of the other omegas that it needs. And they're very important. Let's see. When your diet is lacking in these oils and you are making too few long chain, now we've seen the chain up here. So long chain, if you're making too few of long chain omega-3s, your body makes, it uses whatever is available. You end up using saturated fatty acids and harmful trans fats in cellular processes. And this is very important, as we'll see a little bit later. So not enough omega-3 and omega-6. The fatty acids created are less flexible, which reduces the elasticity of the artery walls and the speed at which messages are passed between nerve cells in the brain. Your body starts to suffer from an essential fatty acid deficiency, causing symptoms such as dry, scaling, and itchy skin, soft or brittle nails, dull straw-like hair, asthma or hay fever, visual difficulties, light sensitivity, impaired immunity, sleep problems, emotional sensitivity. And I think reading these is very interesting as well. Now, not only do you want to keep the omega-3 and omega-6 ratio balanced, but you also need to make sure your overall fat intake promotes health. Excess saturated fats are linked to obesity, heart disease, and can raise your cholesterol levels. It is therefore advised to keep the intake of these fats low. Your omega-7s and your omega-9 fatty acids are monounsaturated fats and are found in almonds, hazelnuts, avocados, and olive oil. Eating monounsaturated fats like omega-7s and omega-9s helps your cholesterol. These fats are metabolized in a way that lowers the LDL cholesterol, but not the HDL cholesterol. A diet high in monounsaturated fats can help protect your heart, as well as reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes, atherosclerosis, high blood pressure, and stroke. These monounsaturated fats are a prominent part of the Mediterranean diet, which is known globally for its health benefits. Now the omega-3 and omega-6 ratio is 1 to 4. So 1 part of 3 to 4 parts of 6. But the average Western diet is 1 part to 20, which predisposes inflammatory response. And where have you heard that before? We have done so much on autoimmune inflammatory response. So again, I'm going to read that part again. The average Western diet is 1 to 20. So 1 omega-3 to 20 of the omega-6, which predisposes inflammatory response. Again, omega-6s are polyunsaturated fats that contain vegetable oils, processed walnuts, grapeseed oil, pine nuts, sunflower seeds, sunflower oil, corn oil, walnut oil, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, mayonnaise, almonds, tofu. I thought that was interesting, and vegetable shortening. If you are eating a lot of these foods, you should balance them out with more omega-3s. To increase your omega-3s, these are the fatty fishes like salmon and mackerel. Then you've got flaxseed. I've seen people mix flaxseed and chia seeds in their yogurt, and I thought that's weird. But they knew something I didn't know. Seaweed, walnuts, which can also be high in omega-6s too. So really, and we looked it up, that two servings, 3-ounce servings of like salmon a week is what you need to get your weekly allowance. And I thought that was real interesting too. But you can also take omega-3 supplements as well. So again, watch out for your 3s if you don't have your 6s, and they all need to balance out. So, okay, now we're going to go to something that's going to tie everything together. And that's called a lipoprotein. So this cell right here, this is a lipoprotein cell. And what this does is it transports your triglycerides, it transports the phospholipids, transports free cholesterol. All this right here, this little cell right here is so important that we have to have it to transport everything that we need. So when we look at our phospholipid molecule, that guy is actually the taxi to get everything else where it needs to go. And this is concerning fats. This is fats, cholesterol, triglycerides. So fats, triglycerides, and cholesterol. That's what this is going to transport. But I want to share with you something that is very interesting, and this is called a lipoprotein, and it's the taxi again. So just remember that, and we're going to go back to the phospholipid screen if you don't mind. Okay, so phospholipids here form the cell membrane of all the trillions of cells in our body. It keeps things in the cell that need to be in and keeps things out that needs to be out. The interesting about this thing is that this is what makes our whole cell. Okay, so you got a phospholipid and you've got your phosphate head, like we had talked about before, right here on our fat. And on our fat, we have 2 tails. Okay. Now, our 2 tails, this guy right here, he likes water. Now, this is going to make sense here in a minute, I hope. Okay. And these guys right here, they don't like water. They're what they call hydrophobic. And this head right here likes water. So what these guys do is because we got more water outside than in, they actually make themselves grow together. They clump together like this because they don't, this is all water based out here. And then we've got water based inside. And so these guys right here, they grow that way. They're exactly the same. They're just opposite. They actually do what they call a double membrane cell wall. So like that, and these little tails, they hook together. And if you look on the picture that what we have up right here, this is how they connect. Once they connect, they make the circle, which actually makes the cell wall. If you go to the cell, to the picture of the cell, how that makes is those phospholipids, if you see where I drew the blue right there on that picture, on the picture on the screen, if you see where I drew the blue there, it says phospholipids. All those little phospholipids have conglomerated together because they either don't like water or they like fat. It's just the strangest thing ever. Okay, so when you think about eating a lot of fats and things like that, it was talking about making the cell wall rigid. And so a bad diet can make that cell wall rigid where it can't get where it needs to go. Now, the interesting thing about that, and we've always been taught that cholesterol is bad. So we're going to talk about the cholesterol right now. Okay, now let's go to this one first. Lipoprotein are partially made up of protein and fats that play a key role in the absorption and transport of dietary lipids by the small intestines and in the transport of lipids to and from the liver and to and from peripheral tissues. A second function is to transport toxic, foreign, hydrophobic, and I don't know what that word is, compound, such as bacteria, endotoxins from areas of invasion and infection. So, it's a transport fat molecule which transports within the extracellular water of the body to the cells and tissues, and it transports the phospholipids, transports cholesterol, triglycerides, free cholesterol. These are our taxis. Now, there are 5 kinds of cholesterols, but tonight we're going to look at 2, which is what you usually see on your lab results. So you've got HDL, which is high density lipids. And then you've got LDL, which is your low density lipids. Lipids means fats. Okay. Now, going to the next slide if you don't mind. Now, where does cholesterol come from? Cholesterol is a waxy fat-like substance made by the liver, or we get it from foods we eat like dairy, eggs, fatty meat, and cheese. Cholesterol forms cell membranes. Now remember, that's the phospholipid outer core of our cell membrane, which holds everything together. So cholesterol forms cell membranes, aids in digestion, converts vitamin D in the skin, and develops hormones like progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol. And if you don't know what those are, estrogen and progesterone are mainly women health, and testosterone, and we know what that is, cortisol. There's so much that these particular phospholipids, they transport all these cholesterol things that we need. So normal total cholesterol reading, when you look at your labs, you're going to see that it says normal total cholesterol should be less than 200. And so what is HDL, or high density lipoprotein? High meaning happy, healthy, hallelujah, good cholesterol. The structure is it's 20% of its weight is cholesterol and 50% of its weight is proteins. Its job is to move the bad cholesterol to the liver where it is flushed out. The higher the number, the healthier. Actually, I read today you can have too high of an HDL, which can cause a lot of problems as well. But normal, and we're going to go over the normal of that, around 60 is good. 40 for men, 50 for women. Now, how do you raise HDL? Hallelujah! HDL, the good kind. We can increase our HDL with physical activity, quitting smoking, losing weight. Eat at least 2 servings or whole grains per day, like oatmeal or brown rice, bran cereals, brown and wild rice, extra virgin olive oil. Interesting thing about olive oil, it's on everything. Beans, legumes, high fiber. Eat fatty fish like salmon and some tuna fish. A Mediterranean diet is good. You can increase your niacin. Don't do that till you talk to a doctor. The ideal HDL for men is greater than 40, and for women is greater than 50. Ideal is around 60. Some books said around, could even be up to 70s and stuff, but I think ideal is probably around 60. So what is low LDL, low density? That's lousy, low, yuck, bad cholesterol, produced in the liver and the intestines. And its structure is 50% of weight is cholesterol and 25% is protein. Now remember, on HDL it was 20% cholesterol. Now, the LDL transports cholesterol to your arteries. It accumulates as plaques in the arteries, being hardening issues, closing, making it smaller issues. It can cause atherosclerosis, which is the buildup of plaque in the arteries. It increases arterial disease, increases kidney disease, increases stroke, increases coronary artery disease. Eating foods high in saturated and trans fats can make your LDL higher. And how do you lower it? Change your meat to fish or lean meats. Change oils to olive oil. Change beef to turkey. Quit smoking. Get active. Eat the Mediterranean diet again. Normals for LDL should be less than 100. And if you are a coronary artery disease patient, less than 70, but your doctor will tell you what he wants your numbers at. That's just an overall view of what people are looking at. Now, we see on our lab values triglycerides. Triglycerides are lipids. They're formed in the liver. When you eat more calories than you burn, the liver converts them to triglycerides, and then they are stored in the fat cells all over the body. The more you eat, the more your body makes. But triglycerides are good whenever they're in moderation. They're used for energy source when carbs aren't available. It is the most common form of fat in the bloodstream. They store fat. They're made up of 3 hydrogens, 3 carbons, 3 oxygens. And so they can be saturated, unsaturated, mono, and poly. And so they are really important, but they need to stay within their bounds of limitations. Now, what is good about them? They perform the following functions. They provide energy, they insulate and protect, they aid in the absorption and transport of fats, soluble vitamins, stores fat to be used when carbs are not available, or you're not getting to eat. That's how you can live without eating over a period of time. People can go without eating a long time. They just can't go without water. So this is the reason why, is those triglycerides actually break down the areas in your body and they use it for energy. And it's like a second burner for a cellular metabolism is what that is. Now, normal triglycerides, a score higher than normal, over 150, can lead to coronary artery disease and atherosclerosis. Extremely high triglycerides, over 500, can lead to pancreatitis. And anything above 1500, your body will stop breaking down fats. Now, what we're going to look here is the norms. And so right here, we've got total cholesterol. And so it's less than 200, and the lower the better. Your HDL ideal is 60, but higher, but 40 for men and 50 for women. And less than 100 for LDL, below 70 if you have coronary artery disease. And your triglycerides, less than 149. Ideal is under 100. So let's look at those again. Total cholesterol, less than 200. Your HDL, your good, hallelujah, cholesterol is, 40 to 60. Your LDL, low, lousy, bad cholesterol, less than 100. And your triglycerides, less than 149, ideal 100, under 100. So if we're looking at our borderline on total cholesterol, that's 200 to 239. And then the HDL, there is no borderline for that. And the LDL is 130 to 159. So if you get your labs back and you see that you've got, around 150, then you need to probably be trying to do something with that. Triglycerides, your borderline is 150 to 199. Your highs for total cholesterol is 240 or higher. Your highs for HDL is 60 or higher. Your LDLs, 160 or higher. 190 is considered very high. And your triglycerides, 200 or higher. And 500 is considered very high. So when you go down to the low, you got not applicable and everything, but HDL doesn't need to be under 40. So you need to look at your labs and see how they're looking. Get the doctor to run some cholesterol. Now, if we look at this right here, I've got a step closer. If we look at this right here, a total cholesterol of 256. Now, we're going to read a lab right here, which is what you would see if the doctor gave you your labs. And you look at that and you think, I have no idea what we're looking at. So your total cholesterol overall, they just do a ratio there. This one was 256. Now the triglycerides were 101, and they were less than they were supposed to be. So again, you have to have enough triglycerides to store the fats that you need. And you always think, well, I don't need triglycerides, but you do. You really need those for protection, to store your fats when you need them again. The LDL cholesterol was high. I think that says 181, I'm not sure. And then the HDL was low at 51. Now, when you look at that, I think it says less than 40, and my screen's too small. But the reason why that says less than 40, 51 being low is because ideal again is around 60. Now your non-HDL cholesterol, that says LDL and VLDL. What that is, that's your LDL plus another kind of very low dense lipids, and that was 205, and that's way too high. And then your LDL right here at 1736 should be under 1,000. So this person right here was told to take omega-3s, 1,200 milligrams twice daily. I think that's what they said, that they were put on omega-3, 1,200 milligrams 2 times a day, just to help with all of this. Interesting that that person was prescribed omega-3s to help with all this cholesterol. Okay? And the next screen. Now what we're going to do is look at, since we already know about the polyunsaturated, the saturated fats and all this, this is the bag of a Lay's, low-fat Lay's potato chip, okay? Now, the saturated fat, and again, we remember that the hydrogen and the carbons all matched, and that's the bad kind of fat, is 0.5. The trans fat, it didn't have any trans fat, and remember the trans fat was homemade, was man-made, and it doesn't have any. The polyunsaturated fats, which are good fats, are 2 grams, and the monounsaturated fats are 1 gram. So, and the cholesterol has 0. And so when you look and you read a nutrition fact on a label, go ahead, and since you understand what saturated, unsaturated, polyunsaturated, monounsaturated is, you can look at your labels now and see kind of what you're eating and what's eating you. And so I think that this stuff was just so fabulous to be able to learn about it. And so I hope that you have, that you've learned a whole lot here. And so what I'm going to ask you right now is, are you worth it? And tomorrow is New Year's Day. And to be able to go to your doctor and say, you know what? I learned about saturated fats. I learned about unsaturated fats. Or maybe you want to just see about whether you need some omega-3s, omega-6s, whatever you need. I just want to know if you're worth it. And that's my whole big question is, are you worth it? Am I worth it? Now, during Christmas break and Thanksgiving break, your leader, tried and true, always be honest with you, I gained actually 9 pounds since Thanksgiving. And I decided yesterday to get back on track, even though New Year's is not, is just right around the corner. So what I want to say is the immune response that I felt when I got back to what I used to do and what I feel like even 1 day and a half getting back on track is completely different. I absolutely believe that the autoimmune response that we have, that our bodies take a big hit when we're eating the things that we're not supposed to eat. And I have felt back in July when I started the journey, I couldn't get up the stairs. I couldn't get out of my car. I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do or needed to do. And just in a day and a half, getting back on track, I could run up these stairs at the studio, no big deal. I got out of the car with no problem. It has just taken a very short time. So what I want to say to you is the journey is so hard, but the struggle is real, and it really is. And I want to share with you, are you worth getting back on track with your New Year's resolution? You need to ask yourself, are you worth it? Are you worth getting back on track? And the next slide, if you don't mind. You promise to others, but when will you promise to yourself? There's so many people that I know that give and give and give and give and give to their families, and they give them everything. They work, they buy them things, they take them places. But when are you going to promise to yourself that you're going to take care of yourself? Are you going to promise to get back on track and start working out towards losing weight and getting healthier? And the next slide, please. Are you going to promise yourself, your family, your friends, and even the good Lord himself to exercise more and just be more active? And let us help you. We are in this together, and the struggle is real, but we can get through it together, and I know that we can. And so if you are interested in becoming a part of It's Me versus Me Life Change Challenge, please contact us, and we can do this together, and it's too hard to do it by yourself. And I want to wish you all a very, very happy New Year. I hope to see that we will be healthier and happy and living life to the fullest by the end of 2024. Hopefully by the middle of 2024. Let's make a goal right now. And I want to tell you, God bless you and thank you, and y'all have a good night. And while we're tuning out, I want you to just watch this little video on what we do at the Civic Center that has a walking trail. So it's cold outside and we don't want to walk outside, but let me show you this walking trail. Okay, here we go to the next cool thing in this Civic Center. This is a workout in itself. Guess we're going this way, huh? Very controlled, warm. These little banked corners are nice if you're running. I think it's 20 laps around. Oh, here we go. Here's a sign up there. Up 15 and a half laps. Makes a mile. There you go. We went one. So what do we want to talk about while we make our laps? Well, Christmas is coming. Actually, Christmas is tomorrow. So then we have New Year's Eve. So what we got to decide to do is, what are we going to do for our New Year's resolution? Push yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. If it is important to you, you'll find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. It's going to be hard, but hard does not mean impossible. That was a quick intermission, huh? So let's think about the New Year's resolution. Where do we want to see ourselves in a year? Do we want to see ourselves less healthy, less motivated, less movement? Or do we want to see ourselves motivated, healthier, able to move way better than we were last year, this year, at this time next year? Or do we want to be in the same spot? And if we're in the same spot, we're a year older. So that means we're really not doing well. So while I'm doing this, if you'll get up and just stand and march in place, just walk in place. Okay, this is 2. I don't know, it might be 3. We'll have to watch the video. They have counters downstairs that you can click every time. Let me think. I think this is 3. I think we're on 3. Okay. Marching in place, marching in place, marching in place. Now, are we going to take somebody with us? That's another big deal. Are we going to invite our family and friends to be with us, to do it with us, to get healthier for themselves as well as their family and friends, being us? the ones who want to invite them or not? And do we even care if other people are healthier? That's another thing. Do we even care? It's a good question. I think this is 4. So just keep moving. Keep moving, keep moving. It's a decision that we need to make every day. Actually, every minute. We need to decide when we go to bed if we're going to get up motivated. When we wake up, we've got to decide if we're going to be motivated to get up and go, whether it be out walking or to the gym or working out in our living room, stretching in our bed. That really helps. When you stretch in the bed, when you finally do get up, it feels so much better. It's awesome. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Let's think about who we would like to invite. To come with us. I think this is 5. It could be 6. We'll call it 6 because you're probably not used to walking like this much, and neither am I, because I haven't been very diligent in my working out. Things have just been so busy, and I got 2 roomies that are down. It's hard to go without them, and so I've been waiting for them to get well. But I decided today that I gotta take care of myself right now, because if I don't, I'm not gonna be able to take care of others or myself. Keep moving, walking in place. If you need to take a break, take a break. We're gonna count. Now, and on 0, you're gonna stand, sit down, whatever you gotta do. Okay? There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, sit down, take a break. This is 7. Take a break, take a break, take a break. Break, 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 batter, 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 swing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. I got somebody here. 5, 4, 3. She's taking a break. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now keep back up. Let's go again. If you have to start out slow, you can start out with just sitting in your chair and just moving your legs. You can do that. You don't have to march in place. So we're fixing to be on, I think y'all are counting better than I am. I think we're going to be on 8. So we're halfway there. Nearly. We haven't gotten halfway there yet. Because when we started here, I started at 0. And that's where you get all confused. Okay. So I think this is 8. Okay. Now let's talk about who we're going to invite. Are we going to invite our parents? Are we going to invite our sisters or brothers? Are we going to invite our best friends? Neighbors? Co-workers? What? Which one? We're going to take another break. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Hey, my phone, my iWatch finally said, hey, record indoor walk. It looks like you're walking. No, it looks like you're working out. It says indoor walking. I'm going to push it. There. It says I've been doing this for 11 minutes. My phone only says 10, and that was from the bottom. But I did have to walk all the way from the back to the front. So it's pretty smart. That's why they call it a smartwatch, I guess. And let's get back to invitation. Okay, let's break on 0. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Break. Actually, I'm on lap 9. So how many more I got to go? 6. Breaking. Okay. So what we got to do is figure out our strategy. We got to figure out how many calories you're going to eat a day. Or if you're ketos, you're going to figure out how many carbs you're going to eat a day. Calories. For me, about 1,300 to 1,500 is what I need to eat to be healthy with my calories. Keto, if I was going to do keto, I'd probably do at one time when I used to do keto years ago, I was eating only 20 to 25 carbs a day. That actually was a really good time for me because the keto really increased my energy, decreased any kind of irritable bowel. I dropped weight. It was good. And I did it for about, maybe 8 weeks. And I dropped about 5 or 7 pounds, something like that. But I felt good. But it's hard to sustain that, especially if you're not working out at the gym and pumping weights and figuring out how you're going to build those muscles. I'm going to have to turn around because I don't want to walk behind her. But I have a half a lap I have to do to get my mile. Here we go. And are you going to do autoimmune? Are you going to do Whole30? Are you going to do Mediterranean? Paleo? See, all the stuff we went over last week. Intermittent fasting. We didn't hit on Weight Watchers. And I think I need to do just a series on Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers has really helped a lot of people get points. And it used to be you'd have to count everything up. Now they have apps, I think, that makes things so much easier for you to count. So what we're trying to do with It's Me Versus Me TV show is go over all the different diets that a person can choose, and that way everybody finds what's right for them. And if you haven't looked at all the videos, we go over Ozempic injections, and we've gone over intermittent fasting. The Ozempic was with Amber, and intermittent fasting was Kevin. I hope I told y'all to start back. I think I'm on 11 now. Could be on 10. We'll do 11. March in place. If you've been on a break this long, please get up. Okay. If you can't get up out of the chair, move your arms. Just do some exercises with your arms. I think this is 11. So we got 3 more laps. No, 4 more laps. That makes 15. 4 plus 11 makes 15. Okay. And just recapping all the things we've talked about on the show is mind-boggling. Now this week, today, this show is really fabulous because of the gastric sleeve and the gastric bypass interviews that I did. And then next week, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, not tonight, but next Sunday, a week from today, we're going to be talking to actually it's my niece who had rheumatoid arthritis since she was very little. We really have no RA, I think it's RA she's got. We're going to hear about it because I haven't interviewed her yet. But she is a pianist. She's amazing. She teaches piano and voice and things like that. But I don't think they thought she was going to do a whole lot with her life because she was diagnosed so young. And she is doing great. Absolutely great. And she's in her 30s and just keeps ticking right along. But she does it with diet. And so she's going to share with us how her and her husband does their thing with diet. And they eat very healthy. And her arthritis is very controlled. She would be one of those people that was crippled if she wouldn't have taken on her responsibilities. Even as a child, she is been responsible, taking her medicine, done her exercises, all the stuff she's supposed to do. But as an adult, she can choose what she wants to do, and it is amazing what she's done. So please stay tuned for that next Sunday. So if you want to take a break before our last 3 laps, because we're on 12. So if you want to take a break, you're going to take a break. Now that she's gone, I'm going the other way. Because you can only go clockwise and counterclockwise on certain days. And which is good because you need to work out both sides of your body. But taking a break in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a break. Take a break for a minute. Civic Center has great benefits to this place. They do not advertise, and it's I guess it's county owned. It's at the Paris Elementary School. It's got this big huge walking trail, the saltwater pool, showers, all the workout rooms like I showed you before, that meeting room. Okay, you can get up now. See. And we're ready to start. Here we go. On our last 2 laps. And if you live in the city, it's cheaper than county, but it's not much. Really, that's about the only city perks the city people get. Because the city people have to pay city and county taxes. County people only have to pay county taxes. So that's one perk of being in the city, which is really the only perk, really. We have double taxes in the city. County people don't. Anyway, that's enough of that. But they have senior sneakers, and they have classes. They have trainers that you can schedule with. They have aerobics type class where they have the music going. And I think we're missing a Zumba. I think we need a Zumba in town. I'm going to go find one too. We're going to do that too. I'm going to show that. We're on our last lap, y'all. So let's push it out. Pushing it out. Pushing it out. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how fast I'm walking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I like my mixed match socks. My socks bothered me, so I kept changing them until I found the ones I liked. I knew I was going to be walking on the walking trail. I didn't want my feet to be bothering me. Okay, we're on the last leg right here. We walked a mile together. Wow, that was fun. Okay, and we're stopping. Just want to look at this right here. This is board. Water, heart, Okay, for our New Year's resolution, make a plan, schedule a time to walk, plan your route, and decide how long you will walk. Stick to your plan. Number 2, have a goal in mind. Whether you're walking for stress relief, weight loss, to reduce the risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, or diabetes, or because of arthritis or osteoporosis, it all adds up to improve the quality of your life. Be safe. Walk with a buddy. Avoid paths with uneven pavements and sidewalks. Observe all traffic laws. If you walk in the dark, wear light-colored or reflective clothing, vests, armbands, and/or hats. Whenever you share the road with traffic, walk facing oncoming traffic. Carry personal identification with you. Drink water. When you exercise, you need extra water to maintain normal body temperature and cool your muscles. Drink before, during, and after your walk. 1 to 1.5 cups of water for a 20-minute walk. Learn to walk properly. Keep your chin up and your shoulders back. Walk so that the heel of your foot touches the ground first, then roll your weight forward. Swing your arms as you walk. This increases the intensity of your walk. Start and finish with a few minutes of gentle stretching. Think of your walk as having 3 parts. Start with 5 minutes of slow walk. Increase your pace. End with 5 minutes of slower walk. Wear proper clothing and shoes. There's where my socks come in. Keep an extra pair of walking shoes at work so that lack of appropriate footwear won't be an excuse not to go for a walk. Dress in layers and don't forget to use sunscreen, sunglasses, and a hat. Very good. Very, very good. We can go over these again. Our commitments are only as strong as our ability to recommit over and over again. Our commitments are only as strong as our ability to recommit over and over. My watch says finished workout. I'm going to end my workout. And it's going to tell me that I went 23 minutes. Man, I'm at 0.86 miles. I guess my counting wasn't right. Okay. Push yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. If it is important to you, you will find a way. If not, you'll find an excuse. It's going to be hard, but hard does not mean impossible. So, okay, back down the stairs we go. I hope and pray you have learned a ton tonight. I know it has been somewhat of a science class, but maybe it will help you see inside your body and give it what it needs, take away what it doesn't, and make it a priority. Join us again next Sunday at 8 p.m. with the newest episode of Me vs. Me Life Change Challenge. If you would like to become a part of It's Me vs. Me, we are accepting new participants to be a part of our life challenge. So if you would be interested in the life challenge, contact us on www.itsmeversusme.tv. And if I don't get back to you within a timely manner, please call 731-924-9249, as my social media correspondence just doesn't do what I need it to do sometimes. And remember, our New Year's resolution is coming. So if not now, then maybe pick tomorrow to start your challenge. And what a way to get your year started the right way. God bless to all, and until we meet again, Sunday, 8 p.m., take care and keep on believing in yourself. Bye-bye. It's me versus me, the struggle is real. It's me versus me, the struggle is real.